This podcast contains an English accent that most of our Irish listeners will find offensive. Also, there may be some colourful language that you're going to find less offensive. Now, over to Ryan and Leon. Enjoy the podcast.
I've given up even trying to put the right amount of milk in for you, because every time I do it, you go in, you put a bit more.
I'll tell you my secret. I like to steep the bag for a long time so I get a full-bodied flavour, and then put a nice hearty dollop of milk in it. Because what happens is, if you don't steep the tea long enough and you only put a little dribble of milk in, you have pissy tea that's not... You want a creamy, strong flavour in tea.
Are you saying steep?
Steep it.
Steep the tea?
Steep the bag.
Steep is a verb.
Do you know what?
Steeping.
You've never heard...
No.
What do you say when you leave the bag in for a while?
Actually, I don't know what the verb is of keeping it in there.
Just what do you like? You're English. You should know.
Will you leave the bag in? Will you? There's no steep.
Steep in the steep in the
I'm
bag.
learning a lot.
Have you never?
I've never, honestly.
Every day is a school day, baby.
Steep the tea bag.
For a man of your calibre of drinking that much tea, you don't even know.
Yeah, no, I didn't know.
Steep is a thing. Yeah, steep in the bag. I need a sip now.
We're having tea, and thing is, in Ireland, right? Spa is a joke because it's always overpriced. Like, I was in there earlier. Like, you can get a bag of Doritos for less than £3. But the one good value thing are these, and you'll know them if you'll understand what I'm going to say. They're butter biscuits with chocolate on top at $1.29. Yeah, for 9 bickies.
There's a little ship stamped onto that chocolate ceiling of the book.
Look at that.
Decadent.
The only bit of value you'll ever get in Spa is those biscuits.
Everything else is just fucking overpriced.
Although there are times where you go into the beer section, and obviously it's always a joke. It's like €3.75 for like one bottle of O'Hara beer. Yeah. But sometimes you see a 4-can, and it's like a promotional offer on Stella, and it's 5. And you're like, 5? No
for 4 cans.
Way.
What is this? Fucking 2010.
Get him in.
Oh, those bars, little cheeky, little curveballs. It's just testing you. Just know that it's still there.
Yeah.
I'm still around.
Still here.
Still have some deals.
It is shite though.
Come for the biscuit, stay for the Stella. Drink 4 cans of Stella, smash the whole gaff up.
Yeah. How was well? You went to Sligo for a day yesterday.
I went to Sligo for less than 24 hours.
Overnight stay to Sligo.
I went to Sligo for about 14 hours.
What the fuck you playing?
Because I'm a man of culture, that's why.
We know that anyway. We both, trying.
I finished what we both do. Of course we do. We do our bits. Do you know what I mean?
We are culture.
I went to a play.
Yeah.
In Sligo. Mm-hmm. So I finished work yesterday about just after, early afternoon. Picked ourselves up and drove with great speed to, obviously within legal limits, but to Sligo. Arrived about 5:30, went for dinner. And went to this play, Mother Courage, it's called.
Mother Courage?
So it's kind of set in like the 1700s, about a woman who travels around. It's kind of like the war, the Christian and Protestant, or the Protestant and Catholic war that involved Germany, like Sweden. There was like Poland. There was loads of different countries at war in like the 17th century. And this woman is kind of like on the baggage train and sells like brandy and war supplies, but profits off the war, but like keeps switching sides. So she's like, at one point she's on like the baggage train of like the Swedish, and then she's on the baggage train of the Polish, and then she's on the baggage train, and she's switching between the Catholics and the Protestants then, and like,
is she talking about them to each other, giving them?
She's just trying to. Well, no, she's not giving away out. She's just pretending that she's neutral.
Oh yeah.
But she's just trying to make money off them all. And it kind of goes down like it's a dark kind of turn. But it's a very interesting play. It was written in like 1939.
Worth the drive?
Yeah, well, it was. There was some really, really good parts in it. Like, I think overall it was an alright play. Like, but there was some really strong characters, really strong performances. Whole cast wasn't 100%, but majority of the cast was very, very good.
He's not from Sligo, is he? William Butler Yeats, but he's around the town. Because when I went down there, you couldn't move for him.
No, he's from the gates of hell.
You don't like him.
Do you know what? There's a statue. I was telling you, there was a statue in Sligo of William Yeats. You should Google it, anybody listening. He's like kind of at a slant. He's kind of like
an angel.
He's like he's trying to do an impression of a fucking McDonald's arch, right? Like he's kind of like that with his back. And I'm like, that's exactly how that prick would stand. Come on and smell my poems out of my arse.
Well, in all fairness, I like him more than you do. But while you were in Sligo, I went to see Small Things Like These for the first time. You saw it last week. Like, I think you even said it last week, actually, that no one left immediately after it ended. Same thing happened to us. Like, we're sitting there, and as soon as they have the dedication at the end, I won't spoil it for anybody, but dedication scene at the end, and then it goes boom, and then everyone just sat, didn't move, and then we kind of heard a ripple of conversations between the people in the audience, and I think that's like maybe sharing stories of who you knew, like, oh, that happened to me, or that happened to the... It's actually mad. But the star of that film is Cillian Murphy, who does a beautiful... I think it's beautiful. Let's see what you think of it. Rendition of the poem When You Are Old by WB Yeats. And I think, just as an amalgamation of both of our Tuesdays, it makes sense to share it. So I'm going to sit back and enjoy it. Hopefully you lot will. Leon's going to leave the room.
And pace the gaff furiously.
And we're going to listen to the great Cillian Murphy with When You Are Old.
When you are old. When you are old and grey and full of sleep and nodding by the fire, take down this book and slowly read and dream of the soft look your eyes had once, and of their shadows deep. How many loved your moments of glad grace, and loved your beauty with love false or true, but one man loved the pilgrim soul in you, and loved the sorrows of your changing face. And bending down beside the glowing bars, murmur, a little sadly, how love fled and paced upon the mountains overhead, and hid his face amid a crowd of stars.
That was When You Are Old by WB Yeats, recited by the star of Small Things Like These, Cillian Murphy. You're huffing. I think
that's not fair. I think that man could read the pack of a fucking Coca Noodles bag, and it'd be amazing.
Yeah, fair.
It'd be amazing. You get him to read that, and it'd be great. Do you know what I mean? If you get Yeats to read that out, it would just sound pretentious.
I might challenge you a little bit on that, because the reason that I wanted to pick that poem was because I was watching a show called Rivals.
Right.
Have you heard about this show?
I've heard the name.
A show set in like peak 1970s TV world in England. It's like TV companies battling for like a share of audience and stuff. Prime time TV. Loads of riding in it. Ooh. All my life. Shagging Central.
Showbiz, baby.
Shagging Central. And there's an Irish character in that show who is a big poetry fan, and he just like recites poems to his family now and again. And he does that in one of the scenes where he like starts reciting Yeats poetry like in the middle of like an office meeting. So I was like, oh, interesting, that poetry getting into more popular culture.
Of course you do that, reciting Yeats in front of an office that didn't want to hear Yeats. Yeah.
Who would want to hear?
Look, maybe I'm biased. I don't know. I just think he's just a bit pretentious.
Yeah, well.
And then once you have someone in that pretentious box, they're always going to be there.
Yeah, well, he doesn't have to come out.
He can
it's
stay
your
in his
box,
box,
pal.
Yeah. That film, though, to go back to swipe past Yeats, and his pretentiousness, to go back to the wonder that is Cillian Murphy, the film itself had me shook. I think the reason why people didn't leave, because from what happened, I was shook for about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't talk to my missus. I was literally went in and was like, have to go to the bathroom. Went into the bathroom and just stood there and was like, that was heavy.
Like him, stood there.
Just stood there
looking at the floor.
So I just need to be alone with me thoughts for a minute, just to decompress from that film. Like, And it's just because, like, you have to understand, there was a parish mentality in Ireland for so long that you couldn't let the parish know what was going on, ever, in your family. So people just disappeared. And nobody ever spoke about it. And there was words by families used, like, you know, suffer with their nerves. They could have been institutionalised. They just suffer with their nerves. They're gone on holiday.
Or even stories of, like, years later you find out that someone's auntie isn't the real auntie.
Yeah. But
Things
that
like
happened.
that.
That happened in my family. Like, it happened in my grandmother's family. Like, that there was a child that a sibling that they found out that just wasn't actually
biologically related.
It was someone else. Because they were worried that if you have a child at a wedlock, from whoever had it, a child at a wedlock would be, the woman, not only the child but the mother would be taken away, like, or be sent away. So they keep the child in the family. No, that's just our baby. Because women are always having children back then. So, like, you know, people were just like,
Yeah.
oh, you had a baby? Ah, yeah. Picked them up with the shit, you know, fucking didn't even look like they were pregnant. Ah, yeah, had a baby. Ah, yeah, grand. Me 9th child. Do you know what I mean? They was like,
Yeah.
fucking can't keep up.
Another one.
There's another one. Ah, he's always been there. Do you know what I mean? So they just do that. Or the neighbours used to take children from other families. If a family had a daughter who had a child, the neighbour might just take that child off and be like, yeah, that was rare. And the child might never know until they're an adult that was not there, that their mother actually lived next door.
Wow.
And that was just parish mentality, like, you know, the people, and that's why people in Ireland don't talk about a lot of, like, their emotions and stuff like that, when they don't open up, because, again, parish mentality is still kind of in our, you want to say, you want to save face, you don't want to let people know, you don't want to let people in, like, you let people in and you'll talk to them, and Irish people are very open and very friendly, very warm, but when it comes to stuff like that, they wouldn't talk about it, because, again, like that, you know, you don't want to be talking about in the parish, in the churchyard.
There's a scene that's crazy said that there's a scene where Bill is talking to his missus, and she's like poking him a bit that he's being soft. I think he gives money to someone, the little boy, he gives money to the little boy that he finds, and she's like, she says to him, you've always been soft, Bill, you need to harden. And as soon as she says that, she bursts into tears.
Yeah,
it's almost like the mask is always on, of keeping up appearances and not being open and going like, you just, you know, keep your head, but then vroom, she realises, oh my god, that's not me, and she starts like, she just explodes, doesn't she, and starts crying. I feel like that's it was a very powerful film, and that was a powerful moment. And, like, you know, even now, like, we know men that don't talk, so that's the theme we were talking about last week about, like, November and stoic men who just aren't able to open up. Like, he carried everything on his shoulders.
Yeah. And it's actually, like, what I love about his performance is that he actually is showing the camera, because obviously, like, it's like, it's a great thing that audience members forget, that the characters in the film don't see what you see. So while we see moments of vulnerability, the characters outside don't. They don't see the cracks. And that's the best part about the film, is that we get to see his mask slip in his private moments, but then that starts to kind of crack. The mask starts to crack, and he starts to kind of slide into, you know, that he can't take it anymore. And it's just an amazing performance. But, like, as I said, I was rattled by it, and I just felt very affected by by the end of it. And I actually wrote something about that kind of thing that happened in Ireland.
Oh wow, okay.
So
let me have my little cup of tea. So it's a poem.
So it's a poem, yeah. So I wanted to kind of capture a moment in time in an abstract way, semi-abstract way, you know.
Yeah.
So it's called Réimse na Bláthanna, which is Irish for Field of Flowers.
Oh wow, okay.
I walk amongst the field of flowers, and remember the time when a different power changed the landscape that we know, and the flowers that grow in this field. For they are beautiful and magnificent, but are hesitant in their bloom. For during that time the sun ceased to shine, our world was cast into gloom. A colourful sea that stretched as far as the eyes could see, now made uniform and grey, and instructed to stay that way by fear and judgment. young flowers in the culmination of pollination ripped from their gardens and discarded behind concrete, hidden by stone to atone for the black mark that stands stark across their home. For the natural process that we once held sacred, now stripped naked and bare and beaten by guilt as the precious flowers wilt in their field as they yielded to society. That once fertile soil that we toiled with graw, now compacted and redacted from public view, hidden behind stone to atone for what they did. The buzzing of bees, now replaced by the rattling of beads and whisperings of please. Don't take my baby from me. Petals plucked by greed and sold overseas, as weeds choked and binded, constricting and restricting, and the field became thick with silence. All that was innocent, gone, as white linen flutters on uniformed lines to be folded and oppressed by black shoes and grey dress, petals plucked. From womb to tomb and entombed after turning septic with disrespect. 56,000 flowers pulled from the earth to give birth behind stone to atone from 1922 to 1998 by an organisation that castigates and profligates the wealth of the mass of all. They sold us lies, they sold us lies, and sneered behind their judging eyes at the misery they caused and their broken trust. But stone cracks and is eventually ground into dust. Our feminine have now become larger, if not stronger than before. And as I walk through that field, I see an ocean of colour once more.
That was Reimsha na Blóhanna by Leon Dunn about the atrocities of the Irish Church. Fuck me. When you said the line about the 56,000 flowers,
Yeah.
it's that poem is everything that isn't spoken about. I've never been in a conversation about, like, sure, when there was a news article a couple of years ago about the amount of, like, graves that are in Tuam and, like, those places, like, think people kind of talk about, like, yeah, that's sad, that, and you kind of move on and you don't really talk. That poem is the opposite of that. It's the fucking reality of what happened across such a vast amount of time.
Yeah.
As well, covering generations where
76
we had
years
I don't know, I wasn't here, but, like, you know, the 20s to the 90s covers many a cultural movement with freedom of expression, and war is gone. We've got peaceful times and the swinging 60s and music and culture, but then still you've got a backdrop of the Irish Catholic Church still kind of running the roost, and you know, still what do you say?
It's like divorce was legal and they still had them open.
Well, you still can't get divorced until you're 5 years married. No. People that won't know that if they're not in Ireland. Like, there's, I love Ireland, but, like, especially when I moved there, I think it was the same year that they had the marriage referendum. Yeah, and I was like, sorry, what? What? And then the abortion, before or after? It was a year before or after. I can't quite remember.
Repeal the 8th.
Repeal the 8th.
That came after.
It
was after.
And then you're like, wait, sorry, what? And then you learn about I don't want to, an English voice criticising Irish culture. You know, no, you know me. I'm not like that.
You're
but
still
like,
here,
you know, there's certain things tough enough. And actually, it's weird. I was reading a columnist called Maya Dunphy, who is one of the columnists for the Irish Times, talk about, like, religion in Ireland being more like a smorgasbord of, like, an a la carte menu of when you kind of step into it when you like to. Yeah, and I think it's hard to navigate that because there's such beauty in the church. Like, I know this from my perspective recently because this year I've been in churches more than I'd like to, for reasons that are not good. Passing of people. And I was actually at a church last Friday on an annual celebratory mass for the passing of my partner's father, and it was a room full of hope. There were candles and hymns, and it was a very sad day. Even like the priest was crying because he lost his nephew, had committed suicide at 32.
Oh, no.
I've never seen a priest cry. The priest was crying as he was doing the sermon.
Wow. I
was looking around, I was like, this is very sad but very wonderful. Of just a room full of well-intentioned people just trying to find some solace. Very hard to cross-navigate that, not just because I don't believe in any of this, but the historical relationship that the church has had with regular society.
It's just been so ingrained
in
Irish culture for so long. You know, like it was... So Irish people initially used to worship like paganism and the landscape. And then the Catholic Church came in, and how they kind of converted people was they got Irish gods or Irish deities and turned them into saints. So Irish saints were actually like, say for instance, Saint Bridget, who was the pagan saint of, or she's the Catholic saint of like springtime. She's actually Bridget, who would be she's an Irish pagan god. So they basically were like, oh, who are you like? You know, who'd you like this? Well, here's a new shiny version that we have that you just have to, you know, it's like a little adoption of, we've just taken her into our net and you know, put a little halo on her now, more palatable, as opposed to like, that's wrong. They kind of got people, they got, you know, what are people already believing in? Okay, we'll take that in and we'll kind of repurpose it to our own, you know, use. Yeah. So like it's been... and then obviously it's been so long the Catholic Church has been here. But like when the Irish when Ireland gained its independence and signed the proclamation, it wasn't made into law until the Irish Church signed off on it. Like, the church and state is like fucking cement. Like that's mental, like, you know. So and then like I think it was, I remember reading a mad statistic that like the Catholic Church owns like 97% of schools in Ireland. So like,
I knew that. Yeah, I knew that too.
So you've got the church is just fucking everywhere, and like I'm not saying, as I said, it's not all bad.
No, it's not.
It's surrounded, and I said, you know, with the passing of people, and it gives people kind of solid. It brings people together. You have a priest that can kind of guide people through their kind of grief.
Yeah.
Tell them that their relations are okay. They've passed on. And there's this to remind, you know, a bit of kind of counselling almost. Like the priests played so many roles in culture, like and communities, that they were a multi-purpose kind of thing. Like, you know, they were educators and they were counsellors and they were, you know, social workers and they were whatever. But it's just such a huge organisation.
It's an organisation.
All power corrupts, you know.
Yeah.
So...
But I think what was great, that movie sparked this conversation. That's what good art's meant to do, starting chats. But I was sitting there going like, I was thinking to myself, I need to work out how I really feel about church after this year. Like, what's going on there? Because like you spend your whole life, you know, not believing in the things that are being that you're now singing about, and why is that such a beautiful thing? It should be like quite an internally quite confusing thing. So after I left, I went for a pint after. I was like, that was lovely. Then a few days after, I was like, is that right that I sit there and say that was lovely? I don't know. So I tried to find art to kind of help me figure that out myself, and I found this poem from an American writer called Ella Wheeler Wilcox. She was called the Poetess of Passion. Ooh. Would you believe? I'm not familiar with the work, if I'm honest with you.
You know why?
But you're going to be familiar with the first line of this poem, and because I never known where this line comes from. It was a bit like when we did WB Yeats. It's like. We have no time to stand and stare. Like those lines of natural, like where did that come from? Came from him. There's a first line of this poem that you're like, oh, that's her. That's what that is. Yeah. So this is a poem by Ella Wheeler Wilcox, and it's called Solitude. Laugh, and the world laughs with you. Weep, and you weep alone. For the sad old earth must borrow its mirth, but has trouble enough of its own. Sing, and the hills will answer. Sigh, it is lost on the air. The echoes bound to a joyful sound, but shirk from voicing care. Rejoice, and men will seek you. Grieve, and they turn and go. They want full measure, of all your pleasure, but they do not need your woe. Be glad, and your friends are many. Be sad, and you lose them all. There are none to decline your nectared wine, but alone you must drink life's gall. Feast, and your halls are crowded. Fast, and the world goes by. Succeed and give, and it helps you live, but no man can help you die. There is room in the halls of pleasure for a large and lordly train, but one by one we must all fly on through the narrow aisle of pain.
That was Solitude by Ella Wheeler Wilcox.
It's a light show.
Fucking hell. I'll be back on the smokes by the end of this.
But it's like that Benjamin Zephaniah poem we talked about ages ago. People need people. People will always need people.
Of course,
it's that community. We talked about it last week actually about like just getting into clubs and the Danish way of life, having hobbies. It's just you need people, and you need and people are there to help you elevate. Always,
100%. And like we're societal creators. We need people. We need people for like even to just give out about people. We need people there.
Yeah.
You know, and whatever way you like, you can't live in a fucking desert island by yourself and be like, this is great. As people even say, like I'd love that. Yeah, you'd probably love it for like a fucking week. And then you'd be alone with yourself.
3 days, maybe.
Next thing you know, you've got a fucking volleyball with your bloody handprint on and you're calling it Wilson. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
But that's a perfect example. It's like, here's a man stranded on an island. He need, even if it's an inanimate object, and like this personification he uses, he imagines that that's a real person. And you can even see, like, spoiler alerts on Castaway, but it's been out for fucking 20 years.
Long time.
When the ball starts to go away, he's heartbroken.
Yeah.
And as a person,
You feel like
get
that fucking Wilson.
what are you doing? Get him, he's going to flow away. It's a fucking ball, okay? But you still feel for it. You still, and even you have that connection with it, and because we're society. We need society. We need people.
We do.
You know, and I think that's what, with what you're saying with church and like in times of grief, it's because you go into a church and are surrounded by people that are in the same boat, and you can, you know, and then there's a bit of direction, there's a bit of kind of comfort, and it's repetition. You might have been going to mass your whole life, or the people that are there might be, and it's the kind of structure and the repetition and the comfortableness. It's like, why do you watch fucking Elf on Christmas even though you've seen it 20 times?
It's comfort. It's knowing where you are with it.
You know, you've got your plate of biscuits.
Yeah,
you have your tea. Do you know what I mean?
You're watching that.
Get your favourite fucking slippers on, and you're watching Elf for the 56th time. But that's because you love Christmas, and that's because you love. And even like with Christmas, you know, I know it's too early to talk about it, but I'm still going to talk about it. But like, it's the people.
Yeah.
It's being around people, meeting people that you might not see all year, or people that you might, you know, it's great.
Yeah, for sure. We had a lovely email actually from someone new to the pod. I sent you this message the other day, and yeah, I knew it was going to make your day when we got this. The letter, the email starts like this. He goes, "Gents, first things first, your podcast is phenomenal. I've been binge listening and plan on making it a staple going forward. I'm a big fan of poetry, but it's rare I can find an outlet that doesn't make me feel like I'm in a wealthy Hollywood yoga studio." Yours is more like walking into a bar with an understated selection of whiskey that leads to a buzz you weren't expecting and conversations with strangers you'll always remember. Fuck, that's poem in itself.
He's a fucking poet, you can tell.
Well, we'll get on to him. So Nate Gladden is his name. Nate has his own show called Whiskey and Ink, and his short stories, as you can see from that email, he's a writer. He's a writer. And I said, listen, and I've listened to some of his stories. Oh, brilliant podcast. We'll share it. I was like, listen, do you ever write any poetry? And he was like, dabble. I was like, okay, send us a few poems. Send us this poem, right? I wanted you to read it out. And this could be any shit tip town that you've ever visited that has a former soul that is now not really that present.
like kind of like you go along the old kind of Route 66 kind of thing and see all the dilapidated buildings when the where the highways were put in and took all the kind of business from the small town, to kind of suck the life out of all these kind of towns, or even the mining towns and stuff as well. So, but yeah, this is a fucking belt of a pop. That email was so sound, so nice.
It's so nice.
Do you know what I mean? It's really, really nice. So this is French Valley by Nate Gladden. Wind-swept golden plains complement a limitless blue sky. Despite the raw beauty only, sorrow resides here permanently. Not even rust comes calling. A train clacks, clacks, clacks by slowly as it moves through the town. Dust coats a whitewashed church and silo, and I ponder, has either retained their value? A porcelain sign clings to a vacated gathering place for cattlemen long gone. This village resuscitates itself daily through a singular analogue gas pump. The iron lungs of French Valley.
That was the poem French Valley by Nate Gladden. I know it's specific to where he was, but that brought me to, like, you know, like, you ever go to like a high street of a town that used to be busy, and there's like, you'll find that there's a statue of someone that once was important in the area, but there's a fucking Centra and a park with one swing, and no shops, and maybe like an old fucking petrol station that has one bloke running it. Well, like, fuck me.
It reminds me, funny enough, of like even the drive I did yesterday and today from Sligo to Dublin.
Yeah.
Well, Dublin to Sligo and back again. You pass a lot of national roads, and there are lovely. Obviously, there's motorways all over Dublin or all over Ireland, but there's lovely national roads that are like, they're kind of like small motorways. But you pass through so many towns that would have been the main way to get to places, through those roads. And you go through these towns that are like that. They're just dilapidated because nobody goes through them anymore. You might get a few people, because as the petrol stations get bigger and have like amenities in them, and you've got showers and you've got restaurants and you've got whatever, and you can get petrol or you can get diesel, you don't need to stop into these towns to go to a petrol station, to a shop. You might need to go to like a restaurant. You don't need to do that anymore. No. So it's sucking the life out of some of these small towns. And then these garages that are just like, and even like, there's a mad number of houses we passed in the space of 2 hours 40 that are just houses that are just ruined. Like, old churches, ruined. Old shops, old houses that were the roofs have caved in and the trees have claimed them back. And it's like, it just shows that when people kind of leave a bit, it's just nature just takes it back.
Yeah.
You know?
Some houses like that around Sligo, actually. I remember going there, driving around, Ross's Point kind of area.
Yeah.
And you're like, you take the car because there's some beautiful sceneries and mountains that you can like take. It's a beautiful place. But yeah, you'll go like down a country lane and you're like, yeah, there's a building that hasn't been vacated for like 100 years. There's trees growing out of it. There's still glass in there, so it can't be like that old.
Yeah.
But like, just no one's ever here anymore. And actually, I've got this book. And it's called Ireland's Forgotten Places.
Oh, really?
So I've been like learning about like all these like things that like used to be in Ireland, quite big deals. Like there used to be like a massive water slide in Cork that got like brought down in the 40s, and it was like Wappo went into the lake, amazing, like some mad things.
Yeah. And
one of them was a really advanced transport Lewis service in County Clare, which would have connected Lahinch, Ennistimon, Liscannor, Doolin, and it would have gone the whole round, but it's not there anymore. But it used to be like a really popular like railway that was connected to all those towns, and like it was got rid of in the 50s.
Wow.
So like you've got things that actually haven't been replaced.
Yeah.
And those towns like Lynch is amazing, but you ever like go through some of those like middle places, like I don't know, like can't even think about where, but like between Ennistimon and Lahinch, let's say, there's shit tips like Tulla, for instance, like sorry people from Tulla or East Clare, but like, you know what I mean, places like that would have been so well connected, and now just not really pass through it all.
It's even funny, like things that go full circle. Like Dublin used to have a very extensive tram network,
Yeah.
and then it stopped. Then they stripped and pulled all the trams out, and then they put the trams back in, which became
But
the
it's
Luas.
not as good.
It's not as good. Yeah,
Yeah, it's because there never used to be a break
yeah. They used to always.
between the red and the green
They
line.
used to just be like, you know, they used to go all around all the time, the trams, and then they just made them shitter.
Yeah, mad.
It's mad, but yeah.
We're shitting on Ireland today.
Well, look,
I don't mean to. I love it.
look, I'm allowed. So you've been here long enough. You're allowed to shit on Ireland's grand.
Just a
But
little.
Nate's poem was great. I love that the style of writing from his poem is very kind of. I think America has a very. It's very stripped back writing. It's very. Every word has a purpose.
That's like Hemingway's writing.
Yeah.
Like every word has a
Kerouac
reason.
and all of that, and you know, and even Poe, like, and none of their words are there. There's no words there just to look. Oh, that looked nice. That looked pretty. No, it's every word there has a purpose, and I love that in that poem. The way it's, you know, if the train clacks, it like simulates the train just kind of shuddering by a little bit. So
Yeah. And in a weird way, I quite liked that he reached out because I hadn't really spoken to anyone in America
yeah,
for a while. Since like I think a country's culture is not just the politics of its country. Like, so it was just nice to hear from someone who lives there, who was like talking about his like life of travels and his story of living where he is, and it was quite like nice to get an insight from someone who isn't woofing on about politics all the time, because you can't get too lost in that, because a country is not its politics. It's a
Also,
mix of culture, day to day, and its people.
but like America, North America's like the size of fucking Europe. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, you must use 20, 30 different types of cultures.
350 million people, like it's ridiculous, and that's the documented ones. You don't know how many people, you know, because there's however many is actually really there. So like, there's so many people there. There's so many cultures, and each state is like a country. So
Yeah.
you can't expect them to all be the same. You know, it's
Yeah,
mad.
we need to be a bit better across that, because I think there's a lot of shitting on, a little bit like when people are shitting on Ireland and going like, oh, I'm leaving and all that. Like, we shit on America thinking like America is this like big behemoth of like fucking Trump followers who love guns. Just like, relax. Like, people from Florida probably don't connect with people from New York and New England to like Massachusetts. You know what I mean? There's so many different types of people, so we have to be a bit more open, I think, with the way we talk about America. I've got a lovely poem actually. I was thinking about all of the highlights of the year.
Yeah,
And one of the highlights of my year was definitely one of our trips that we did to one of the festivals that we did, Beyond the Pale.
Oh yeah.
When you did you were at the food tent,
Yeah.
and I did a story at Shanakea, where I met Rachel McQueen for the first time.
Great name.
Yeah, great name. And if you follow her on Instagram, you'll see like she does these things that they're not daily, but like she'll pick a colour of the day. She must have a job, but she'll pick a colour of the day and she'll take photographs of things of that colour. So she'll pick like burgundy, and then all of a sudden her stories would just be burgundy stuff of the city.
Wow.
Very nice, very cool. That's very cool. That's very arty. She did a couple of poems at Shanakea at Beyond the Pale, and one of them was a poem that stuck with me since. Really good. Really good. Wanted to share it with you. Asked her to share it. She was okay with it, which is good. It's a remix of a Holly McNish poem. A poem called A Belated Thank You to My Boyfriends. But actually, the start and the end are the same. She's obviously inspired by the poem. The poem is called A Belated Thank You to My Boyfriend's Remix. So, you know what I mean? So she's obviously a big fan of Holly McNish. But the poem that she wrote is a little more subtler and softer with its power, with its message. A little bit like small things like these. Like it's saying things without smashing you in the face with it. The Holly McNish one, I'll send it to you so you have a look at it. It's like very... Thank you to the boys who protected us against the people that were trying to rape us and kill us. And it's very like, you know, it's important, but it's very fuck me. Okay, yeah, God, Jesus Christ.
It's very in your face.
This is a little more. It comes at you from the side, if we will. I really like it. So this is a poem by Rachel McQueen, and it's called A Belated Thank You to My Boyfriend's Remix. To the boys who stopped the other boys for us, who called the other boys pricks for us, and scorned their friends who pressured us. To the boys that keep us big and bright, who reassured us we were not too much too forward, that it was actually kind of hot, and that if they were spooked by that, then they certainly weren't the one for us. To the boys who passed frustrated hopes and dreams back and forth over tea, texts and pints of plain, until we were both at peace with being spectacularly insignificant. All the boys who van full across the city for the third time this year. Never expected, never assumed, but also never asked. All the boys who reversed around the corner after corner after corner. Patience of an atheist saint. The boys who cool our distress until swan necks become tight hugs, heart to hearts, your brother, my mum, to the boys that picked us up, gave piggybacks, saved souls from broken bottles and shattered glass, who walked us safely to their homes, then away, less safely to their own, and in the morning, us apologising over breakfast for the hassle, to the boys who told us it was grand, as if it was.
That was a belated thank you to my boyfriend's remix by Rachel McQueen.
Lovely, subtle, banger of a poem. And obviously got a massive round of applause at Shonakea this year. A real highlight of mine seeing her perform, actually.
It's a fucking great poem.
Yeah, isn't it?
I love it. Yeah. And I love the way it's like, it's not about love and it's not about hate. It's like but it's a different kind of love. It's platonic love in a sense. So like I have a lot of friends that are girls that I, you know, they're just me mates.
Yeah.
And, you know, and they would also have other friends that were lads that were just mates as well. And it's like, it's great to see, you know.
It is, yeah, no, it's great to see.
Yeah.
And I'm the same. Like, many friends that are girls. And you've got to, like, I think in England, the culture's a bit harsher between boys and girls. Like, you wouldn't have, like,
Yeah.
like, I mean, it's more common here that you'd have, like, mixed groups of friends.
Yeah.
But, yeah, my life is massively enriched by a passion for having friends that are girls.
Of course. And it's great to have, like, but you're even, like, if you're mates with girls for years, sometimes they're worse than lads at talking about things.
Oh, well, yeah.
You'd be like, Jesus Christ, you can't fucking say that, like, you know. Like, they make us look like angels. Do you know what I mean? So, when you're on the other side, do you know what I mean? When you're on their side, it's grand, but like, it's fucking great to have.
Yeah, and insight into the belly of the beast.
That's exactly it. Yeah, but it makes your life richer. You know,
it does, man. It absolutely does.
Like sometimes it is nice to just be a knuckle dragger and hang out with the lads. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, you know, we need that
your
as well.
IQ automatically drops by 20 or 30, percent, and you're just talking about shite. But like, it's nice to also have, you know, a bit of variety in your life as well. You know,
I agree with you.
It's a lovely poem.
Yeah. The agony aunt. What is this? We got this agony aunt in, right. It's I was taken there anyway to the event of which this agony aunt problem is about.
We've been getting some hard issues lately, haven't we? Some serious issues.
Yeah, for sure. This has longing. It has resentment. I'll share it with you, right? So the agony aunt for this week. I really wish I'd kissed him. On stage was the only chance we'd get. Too late now. Oh, God.
Look,
I've got a Fleetwood Mac story. Maybe
I've been down to the local theatre.
Yeah.
I went into the dressing room, and there, amongst a mirror with 72 light bulbs cased in that mirror, sat the agony aunt.
Oh yeah, musing upon what she's seen on stage,
adjusting her periwig,
yeah,
and powdering her nose. And I asked her, "Look, we need to solve this issue." And she pulled from her periwig a parchment piece, and within that parchment piece was a poem.
I thought it might have been.
You know, I don't know what gave it away, but this poem is called Stage Fright. The tickets were bought. The curtains have lifted. I'm dolled to the nines, and my boobs have been lifted to an inch of their life on this night by a top quality bra bought in Ann Summers from a woman named Trish, who said, "With this thing on, chicken, you will look like an absolute dish." And she was right. Because to my delight, this could be the night, 'cause everything just feels right. As I stood in the front row with a smile and waited alone in the crowd just a while, until the show started and like the Red Sea it parted, and he was just there, waiting as I stood there, debating. on whether to go up. And then he held out his hand, and I couldn't believe my luck. And he asked me my name, but I couldn't remember. It's actually June, but I said November. We talked and we danced. I felt entranced. And then it was over too soon, just as my heart started to swoon. And he was gone. I felt like a fool. Probably tried to play it too cool. But before everything appeared too bleak, I realised salsa class is on again at the same time next week.
That was Stage Fright by the Agony Aunt.
She never fails.
No, she's hit it home yet again.
Once again, 180 as Phil Taylor says in the darts.
Boom, boom, boom. Poems. Oh, stop! I get excited now. Christmas and the darts, man. I fucking love watching the darts at Christmas. Ooh, it's coming. Oh man, so funny. Thank you, the Agony Aunt, for smashing it home once again. Couple of things.
Oh,
we've got the read along for the second book. We had a great time with the first one.
we did.
Reading Maya Angelou. We've partnered up with the Winding Stair. The Winding Stair Bookshop, one of Dublin's oldest independent bookshops. Ooh. And the team there have agreed to come on board as our poetry advisors. So we got Suzanne Meehan, obviously, is your independent
poem. She's a poem contractor.
Yeah,
she's a poem contractor. She's a poem correspondent, but she's a contractor. You know.
No. Now we've got poetry collection advisors from the experts,
like a poem concierge.
Yeah, a concierge service. Basically, I am looking forward to it because like we were going to pick the collections all the time. But I was like, we're not getting the surprise that everyone else does, so I wanted that. I wanted to fucking we're reading that, grand. So buzzing that they're taking that off our hands. So they're going to be picking the collection every month now for as long as we do this for.
We have professionals on the case.
We've got the pros on. So that book is live. The read along is live. If you'd like to get involved, you need to sign up to the Patreon. You do that if you click the Instagram link. You'll see sign up to the Patreon. We changed it. It used to be join our community. I think it's a bit too fucking vague, to be honest with you. I wouldn't know what it meant. Don't blame you.
Join a cult.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, join the cult. Get a tattoo. No, it's sign up to the Patreon, and that'll give you access to an exclusive monthly podcast where we talk about the collection and a discount code from the Winding Stair on that book. Obviously, if you want to buy it somewhere else, you can. But
if you want to support local Irish businesses,
exactly, then you've got an opportunity to do so. So they're grand.
Yeah.
Look forward to that now.
Win-win.
We're going to pop in, aren't we? And we've got our books for collection because we're being cheap.
What do you mean? I want to get the steps in and go in and see the sights.
Same. Sorry, it wasn't about saving the money on the delivery.
No. Pick up a few poems, maybe somewhere else.
Yeah.
Have a
Great
browse.
shop. Yeah. Look forward to going in there. As always, listen. So much support for the show. We've loved hearing from emails and messages. So if you've been thinking about writing something, you haven't for a while, and you'd like to send us, please do. The email's thepoetryspodcast@gmail.com.
And if you're having something that ails you, the Agony Aunt will solve any issue.
Yeah, if you click the link in the insert, you'll see there's a Ask Me Anything link. That's where we collect these problems.
And we'll take the Agony Aunt out of the freezer, and she'll just write away.
Wherever she is, she's happy to help us out.
She's like a fucking Swiss Army knife of poems.
Right. There's chips to be microwaved.
Oh God, yeah.
And I can't wait.
Look, it's time. It's nearly winter. It's winter time now. Time for chips.
Leon, thanks for your time.
Always a pleasure, never to show, Ryan, baby.
See you later on.